Greetings, my fellow Americans, and welcome back to Scarbite. So, this is the video you've been looking for, the QRF slash apparatus prepared vehicle set layout, whatever you want to call it. This is just a very prepared vehicle or apparatus, as I like to refer to it as, because there is a difference between going from a personal vehicle to an apparatus. I feel as though an apparatus is more of a vehicle that has a specific job to whatever it is you find yourself. It doesn't necessarily mean that it is specifically has to be for your occupation, but as far as this video is concerned, I want to share with you guys, but I also want to give you a little bit of a warning. First of all, this is not something that I recommend everybody doing. This is not something that I do on a regular, I'll also add. So don't feel as though that I am promoting, or don't feel as though I am, advertising for, irresponsible gun ownership as far as what you're about to see, because there are a lot of videos out there of people breaking into others vehicles, damaging but also stealing personal items out of vehicles. And I say all of this just to say, be responsible, and also be a law-abiding citizen. There are many states out there, many counties, many different exceptions for the Constitution, bearing the Second Amendment at least. So be mindful of what is applicable to you and what's not applicable. For instance, one of the things is body armor. Body armor is not always a applicable thing to some states, some counties. I've never been in one of those those areas, but I can't imagine I can't imagine that. I mean, that's just that is the got to be one of the stupidest things I've ever heard of. Is a lot of people debate the whole 50 drum mag and bump stock stuff, but as far as body armor goes, that is clearly just a self-defense thing. So it's hard to refute that. It's hard to say you shouldn't have that. Anyways, I don't make the laws. I don't make the those decisions. I just get to judge them and say they're stupid because they're against my constitutional right. But as far as what you're about to see in this in this video, I want you guys to know that you got to be smart with it. Don't be stupid. Don't be irresponsible with it. Keep them safe. Keep your firearms safe. Keep your vehicles safe. I hope you live in areas where this isn't a must, and if it is, if you do live, it's kind of the catch-22. If you do live in areas where this is a must, these are you are going to be like one of those highly valued targets, right? These are, people are going to target you, target your house, target your vehicle, if they see you as that kind of, bougie, as a threat. Some of the clear signs as well of what we're about to get into. We're about to show you guys some weapons inside vehicles that are somewhat, I would say, loosely stored, meaning that they are not in a locked box at all times, or they are not, in fact, locked at all times. Now, I say all times, meaning that there are times where I do lock these things up, but there are times where I don't. It's mainly just when transporting stuff and when moving around, or if I feel as though, just get that weird sense of, hey, today could seem like a really bad day, so let's prepare for it. Let's usually it is on special occasions and events that usually, it's mass gatherings that kind of create this confusion, and could create even more mass confusion if a bad guy decided to try and intervene and try to ruin somebody's day. So without further ado, guys, let's jump into talking about making your vehicle a safe apparatus, or making your vehicle a prepared apparatus. So now that we are inside the apparatus or personal vehicle, whatever you want to refer to it as, I personally like apparatus because it is a job that I am making into my vehicle. It is a workplace, not just a means of transportation, right? So First of all, I want to say that it doesn't all have to be about a firearm, how to carry a firearm inside your vehicle. Obviously, I have a couple of firearms in this vehicle, and I have a couple of weapons inside this vehicle, but that is not always the primary goal, or nor does it have to be the primary usage of your apparatus. For instance, I have many gadgets and tools inside this vehicle that have means of being prepared in case of the worst case scenario, right? So without further ado, let's jump into a little bit of those. The first one is something that I think all of us can relate with more than anything else, is phone usage or cellular device usage. I have got 2 mounting setups right here that allow me to keep a little bit more of a hands-free workspace in here, and just within this cockpit of the vehicle. So right up front here we have the iPad mounting device that allows me to, instead of using my cellular device, which is down here, and being able to keep my eyes on the road at all times and slightly move over to the center, but still keeping my peripheral on the road, is a lot more safer than going from my eyes on the road all the way down here, which isn't as safe as as it could be for the iPad mount. Now, the only usage that I really have for the iPad mount, because I do use the iPad quite a bit, is there's 2 big uses that I use for it. When I put down the center console here, I got a little keyboard that is Bluetoothed onto the iPad itself, and I have the ability to do some work while I'm just sitting here, while I'm just chilling, being able to text my friends or send a message, or some little just extra hobbies that I like to do while I'm on the go. So that right there is another reason of having the iPad, and also a huge reason of why I have the iPad is for transportation when I am either taking my friends around places, when we are traveling, mainly for GPS and getting around places safely and soundly, and going the right direction, because that's always what we want in our drivers, right? So next up, what makes all of this a little bit more user-friendly, I should say, is our little Bluetooth device that we have down here. I'm not sure how well you guys can see that, but we do in fact have, let me go ahead and take this guy off real quick. We do in fact have this little Bluetooth device right down here that allows my cellular devices such as iPad, such as iPhone, go from having to use the old aux cord to allowing it to be all wireless and all Bluetooth, which I think is far more superior. That way you don't got a whole bunch of cords hanging up around here, and we will talk about that here in the future, because unfortunately you do have to charge these devices sometimes, especially if you're going to be on the road for a few hours. So like I said, we'll get into that in a little bit, but as of right now, this device does a great job of allowing these mobile devices to hook up to the speakers in the vehicle. So if you're watching or if you're listening to music, if you're watching a movie, or if you're listening to a podcast, that is perfect for it. And besides, the old stock stereo broke a long time ago, so really only use it for the dials and the buttons. Can't use the aux port anymore for it, so that sucks. But it is a 2011, so it is one of the older models out there. But just goes to show you don't need a fancy new vehicle to do some of the cooler stuff. Honestly, I would highly recommend this setup over any other type of setup, because man, it's just being able to have personal items, and I get that's kind of what they wanted to get away from, having cellular devices and using them all the time and whatnot. Boils down to personal preference at the end of the day. But anyways, this makes my job a lot easier. Instead of putting my phone, in between my legs, messing around with it. This makes it so much easier. I have a place to put my phone. I have a place to put my iPad, and I don't have to, keep taking my eyes off the road because they're all within my, peripheral vision. Everything is a lot more safer, so being able to respond to those quick events, it makes it that much more easier, at least. So that's pretty much it as far as some of the simpler gadgets that I have over here. Some of the other things are just nice little knickknacks and stuff that I like. I got my hat up here. There are just some little things here and there, but ultimately these are nice little utensils or tools, I should say, to help you on your events and your road trips and whatnot. Next up, I'm going to talk about is chargers and stuff like that. We have got a few chargers here. We've got a universal charger. We've got Apple chargers. We've got, excuse me, cigarette lighter, USB ports for charging and whatnot. We also have a nice little charger block down here that I will move the camera to give a little bit of a better view for you guys. So this device right here is a kind of a USB strip that allows me to hook up multiple devices at once. It's got a nice little flip right here that allows me to stop using it when not in use or use it whenever it's in use, which is pretty neat. And most of that stuff is in the locked box. So don't really want to open that up right now and show you, but we also got a few things to show you right here on the driver's seat right here. Right here is going to be where I keep my Omnivore holster in case if I've got to take my firearm out of the vehicle and keep it with me. Next up, we've got the EMT bag or the EMT pouch that just simply unclips from the seat. The seat's fully mollied, just like the other one, and allows me to take my medical equipment, such as shears, bandages, all that good stuff, and just go from inside the vehicle and carry it around me wherever I may go. So that way I have some means of medicine or means of first aid kit. So that's pretty cool. But ultimately, it is for keeping these devices charged at all times. There is probably nothing worse than not knowing where you are and where you need to be, and having your phone on 1%. Your GPS, all of the everything that you have going can drain your battery faster than anything. Having your podcast on as you have the GPS on, as you have music on, there's a lot of things that your phone is doing for you, and making sure that you have the means of keeping it alive has got to be priority, because man, you do not want to be somewhere you are not familiar with and all of a sudden have your means of getting home safely and securely taken from you just because of a dead battery. There is many times I've been in that case. I've been in that situation many times, and I think that this is probably the primary thing that most people should be looking at. And if you do, depending on your vehicle, if you do have means of having a secondary battery, I would highly recommend rigging something up to where you can have just that a primary battery for your vehicle and a primary battery for your gadgets and tools and stuff like that in here. There's a lot of projects that I've got in the future that I want to do for it, but these are just simple tips and tricks that everybody can do to make their job a little bit easier. So next up, we are going to be referring to the firearm and whatnot. So the firearm is just my simple G19. This is loaded at all times. We even do have the magnet charging grip, I guess you could say, or mounting right here on the underneath of the dash portion. And the reason why I like this one as opposed to other magnets out there is it nice and securely keeps it cradled right there. And Glocks have such a boxy top to them anyways. It really did just work out perfectly. And also one thing that I would say I would take Glock over, or at least I would take any firearm, is having no safety as a truck gun. I would absolutely take a weapon that has no safety on it as a truck gun, because first of all, none of us gun owners should be scared or worried or nervous of carrying a firearm loaded without a safety on it, if we know proper trigger discipline control. So therefore, there is no reason to fear that this thing is loaded at all times. And the reason why I think you should always have a weapon as a truck gun that is, that has no safety on it, is because that is one less thing you have to worry about when you are going from driving to all of a sudden, now I need to react. It puts 3 more different steps in your way of being able to, to stop a potential threat. So, that is my personal preference. There are a lot of people out there that probably should get a little bit more training and probably should get a little bit more comfortable with that kind of situation, but I find that it works pretty well for me. One thing that I also really do love about this particular one is the fact that I can charge it at any time. So being able to go from driving and then all of a sudden, God forbid, a altercation breaks out, I can charge it, which means that I can go from aircraft mode, just go from carrying that, an empty weapon, going to a hot weapon, pulling it off, and being able to react if need be. So one thing I will say as well, guys, traffic violations, if you end up being pulled over, keep your hands on the wheel. This is something that we should do, whether we have a weapon under the dash or not. Keep your hands on the wheel. Have your paperwork, have everything laid out in a very organized and specific manner that allows the officer to not question if his life is at risk at any point during the traffic violation. So be responsible, be respectful of that. No matter, even if the officer is being a little bit nosier than his job depends. So be mindful of those kind of things. Make sure that you are safe at all times, and make sure that the officer doing the traffic violation is safe at all times. There is no need to keep this, $600 piece of equipment from taking your life. There is no need for it. So with all that said and done, guys, let's go ahead and talk about some of the other things that I have inside the vehicle that will make life a little bit easier for us all on means of preparing for natural disasters, threats, just all that good stuff. Let's head to the back. Before we head to the back, I forgot to mention the center console stuff. So center console has got a little bit of everything that I need for what's up front. I keep extra magazines in here, primarily, sometimes carry the 1911, so I got some 1911 mags in here fully loaded. I usually have a spare Glock mag in here as well, because that's the truck gun. And I've got some other cool stuff in here, as well. I've got, some little trees in here. I've got some medicine, some basic stuff. I've got mints. I've always been my grandfather got me into that habit. When I first got the vehicle, I've got a knife up here. This vehicle is actually really cool. I've got a little multi-tool, here. This stuff is actually for. This one is specific for license and registration. This is for your license. This is for your registration. This I just keep for a knife. I'm sure, you could put something else right there, but I honestly like having a knife there, and it doesn't get in the way of shutting the door. And I don't have the paperwork here just because, the registration here, because I don't want my information being out there to you guys. But this is a nice little way to make it easier for the officer to see your hands at all times. So that way you just go from 10 and 2 to opening up the vehicle, pulling out that documentation, and giving it to them. Simple as that. Makes it a little easier. I love this setup. This is my favorite setup ever. And I don't get any easier than this. I've got a few other things in here. I have a compass. I have a box of matches. I've got some random stuff in here. I've got the owner's manual for the vehicle, that, when you're talking about, taking care of your vehicle, that really should be the primary goal as well. You should always have a jack stand, a spare tire. You should always, and making sure that your spare tire is ready to go should, something happen, in means to be able to replace your vehicle's, wheel, or just anything that could go wrong on the go. Make sure that you are prepared for that as well. Guys, when it comes to vehicles and stuff like that, you want to take care of them. You want to make sure that you are prepared. If you're going on, field trips, if you're going on vacations, if you're going on anything that involves your vehicle for long distance at a time, or sometimes even short distance, be mindful of what condition your vehicle is in. If one of the tires is low, if something on the vehicle just doesn't seem right, please go get it checked out right away, because there is no sense in putting yourself at risk or anybody that you have in the vehicle with you at risk. Next up, we are going to be talking about what is on the seats here. So a couple of different things, actually. I actually have Ear Pro. These are some really cool Walker Razor belt clips that allow you to carry your headphones, eye protection, and on your belt at all times. So with the nice little seat cover straps that I have holding these in place, I'm able to have Ear Pro, Eye Pro, and also a few other equipment on the go. And these headphones don't drain as long as you turn them off properly. As long as you use them properly, they don't drain the batteries, so you can keep them in here as long as you need to. Also, a nice little cool thing to store in here is extra batteries in case if you need it. Next up, we've got on this side, passenger side, I've got throwing knives. That's mainly for me. Anything that I want for me is on the passenger side. Anything the passenger gets is on my side, so that way they can take, easily, much more easier. It's easier for me to go to across than it is for me to go right here, and take my non-dominant hand. So I can take this, and react to it if need be, besides what's under the dash. But also they get to respond as well. I've got some Ear Pros. I've got a black version, whatever you saw over here, just the Patriot version, except in all black. And I don't think I have Eye Pro over here yet. But I've also got a nice little K-bar knife, mini K-bar knife over here that is strapped down. So as far as the seats are concerned, that is just a couple of nice little added details that I've added here recently that make it that much more easier to going to the range, or if you're at a buddy's house and you're like, hey, you want to go shooting, and your buddy's got a pretty good size yard, and they don't mind, they don't have any nosy neighbors or anything like that. So at any point in time, I could go to the range or go loud with my Ear Pros on, and not have to take permanent damage to my my hearing and whatnot. So that's pretty cool. Stay safe, guys. Make sure you have plenty of eye and ear pros at all times when dealing with firearms. So with all that being said, next up, let's go to the back and see what we got over there for you. Okay, so in the back of the cockpit, we have, this is an extended cab, the king size cab, whatever you want to call it, that Chevy calls it. We have here the back seat covers. So the back seat covers, whatever you see on this side is copied and mirrored on that side. So what we have here up in front first is a couple of utility pouches. The top one has a light head bar with, I believe it takes 2 AAA batteries. Over here has what is called mobile tissue paper, which is just toilet paper, honestly. You can buy them at Walmart, you can buy them at Cabela's, you can buy them at Meijer, you can buy them at any place where they sell camping equipment, or camping toiletries and stuff like that. So moving on, this utility pocket has a I call it the collapsible backpack. It is just a foldable backpack that you can unfold, throw everything in here. So if you have to evacuate the vehicle, you can take everything that is up front of the vehicle and bring it to the back. take everything out and throw it into a bag, throw it over your shoulder and dismount. You know, I made it such a smooth and easy process. The middle section here is going to be our medical kit, which I actually switched over to the front. Anyways, but we also do have camping supplies, fire starter stuff. We have a whole bunch of stuff in the middle here. And then on the bottom part here, we have what I call waste bags, which is honestly for fecal matter, vomit, you name it, you could put it, any bodily fluid, you could put it in here just to dispose of waste. We've got camp soap in there, so that way you don't necessarily need water. However, it's always good to have water with you, so that's a really cool thing. We've got so much more other camping supplies. We've got medicine in here for like basic trauma stuff, if you get cuts, bruises, or if you get just bug bites, all that kind of stuff, poison ivy, medicine. We've got just about everything you could imagine you would need for camping in here, but also means of helping yourself in the sake of being injured. So like I said, what is over here is mirrored on that side. So let's go ahead and talk about what's on top of the seat, and then we're going to talk about what's under the seat. So what's on top of the seat is more camping supplies kind of stuff. This is a ACU bag that is all just, decked out for, work. Honestly, I've got more than anything, I've got work clothes in here. I've got just the ability to change if I have to, go from work to, civilian clothes, or go from civilian clothes to work clothes. So there's a lot of good stuff in that bag, but this bag is probably going to be a lot more better for you. So next up, we have the EMT bag. The EMT bag is honestly just a first aid kit on steroids. I wanted it to be, they come in a couple of different varieties of color. I wanted to be the bright red one though, so that way when people saw it, they knew what it was. If I was, if it was a black version, or if it was any other type of version, I feel as though people would have thought more of an assault bag rather than a medicine bag or something like that. So I wanted to keep the classic bright medical bag look to it. And it really does have just about everything that an EMT would possibly need, except for the, there's a couple of things that are missing, but for the most part, this is probably the best $200 I have ever spent, because man, back when I was working on the fire department, they had a lot of similarities as far as what's in here and what the fire department used for ambulance, and stuff like that. So definitely think this is a pretty good use of equipment. It's definitely worth buying at least. So that's pretty much it as far as the EMT bag, as much as I really want to go into it, because like I said, this could be a very long video. So let's go ahead, get to the good stuff, and talk about what's under the seat. All right, so what is under the seat is going to be a couple of different things. I'll start from your guys' close end and work my way back over here. This guy right here is going to be a nice little clip-on. You guys have probably seen this in the previous videos that I've done. This is just a gas mask that has a few different types of filters and all that good stuff. It's mainly just for being able to breathe properly in some harsh conditions. We've got a tripod seat just for sitting, more of a camping item. We have the battle belt that you guys have seen in previous videos and whatnot, and we also have the vest itself with the plates, plate carrier, all that good stuff. And we also do have, move that over, the rifle that I showed you guys in the previous videos, talking about concealed carrying and all that good stuff. So this is what I was talking about earlier when I said some of the stuff I do not recommend to always do in your apparatus. However, I do sometimes feel as though there is a need for it, or there is a reason for it. If you are able to keep these things locked up, sealed up, tightly secured, please do so, because I think these are items that should always stay nearby you at all times. However, I understand that that's not always going to, that's not always the case. That's not always going to happen.
But if there is some kind of, lockbox or utility box or something that you could stow under your seat, makes it that much easier to, grab your gear and safely, securely grab your gear and go with it without fear of somebody breaking into your vehicle and taking all your stuff. And now is probably one of the most well-armed, probably one of the greatest loot boxes they ever got in their life, probably making that, that thief into probably one of the one of the one of the deadliest criminals out there. I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm making this into a joking manner. It is not, it is absolutely not a joking manner. Be safe, be responsible, but man, don't do any of this stuff that I am, advertising, whatever you want to call it, unless if you are responsible enough to understand how and when to utilize this stuff. Guys, this stuff is life-saving stuff that I have just showed you. There are plenty of stuff inside this vehicle that, when used correctly, could absolutely have life-saving effects. Being able to be just a short sprint away from having equipment that can save lives, guys, I promise you, again, should you know how to use these, and I hope you do know how to use these, if you have something similar like this in your setup, and you're not just trying to act cool and you're not trying to just look like you know what you're doing, but actually do know what you're doing, that's going to make the world of a difference. That's what's going to make the world a safer place, and that's what's going to, at the end of the day, save lives. So at the end of the day, guys, I'm showing you this. I'm telling you all this because I want you guys to be responsible. I want you guys to be safe. And I want you guys to make good decisions. And I want to help. I want you guys to be able to react in a stressful situation, in a stressful manner. And I want you guys to be able to respond in a positive direction. I want you guys to be the heroes of the story, right? And I don't want you guys being just a loot box, a loop drop or anything like that. I want you guys to, have these things safely and securely tucked away. And at the end of the day, make sure that you yourselves are, not going to be the victim of your own equipment. So with all that said and done, guys, I want you guys to, reflect on your apparatuses, your vehicles, and think about ways that you could make them safer, make them more prepared for, if something were to go down, and make it that much more easier for you to be potentially saving lives. So think of ways that you yourself could change your vehicle to make your life just that much more easier. And like I showed you up front, it doesn't all have to be about life-saving, or it doesn't have to all seem like life-saving, firearms, medical equipment, bandages, all that good stuff, first aid kit stuff. It could just be as simple as having a safe spot for your phone or tablet to be while you're on the road, trying to get, accurate and good directions. So there are so many different things that could keep us safe and secure while we're on the road. It doesn't all just have to be, a firearm. It doesn't have to be medical equipment. It could just be something as simple as having a little mounting device for your cellular device. So anyways, guys, we are not done talking yet, so let's go back inside and talk a little bit more about what we just saw here today.
So one quick thing, I'm on the back side of the vehicle. I would highly recommend not having gun pro stickers or gun stickers on the back of your vehicle as you have firearms inside the vehicle, specifically talking about this one. Not a lot of people know about that brand, but still, don't be that idiot. Don't be this guy. So anyways, we're going to talk about the toolbox in the back, utilizing all spaces for your apparatus. All right, next up, we have the toolbox. So the toolbox has got my my bug out bag. It's got a gasoline tank. It has got a camping. It's got multiple other rags, tools, and means of jump starting vehicles and all that good stuff. Just simple maintenance on the vehicle itself. So nothing too exciting back here, kind of on the boring side.
until we get into what's inside that guy. Excuse me, but we're not going to be talking about that guy right now. This is just the toolbox. Like I said, it's got a lot of multi-tool kits. It's got a lot of just repair kits in general inside this toolbox that keeps the truck up and running. We've got the jumper cables. We've also got a set of, we've got a type of jack in there. We also have a lug nut set up that allows you to replace a tire should you need to. You know, knock on wood, because I've never had to do that on the side of the road, and I really don't ever want to. So thank God for that, and let's hope that remains to be a thing in the future. So anyways, that's pretty much it for this. You always should have a means of being able to start your vehicle in case if the battery is somewhat depleted. Be smart with it. Make sure you know how to do that. Don't just have it in there. Make sure you know how to do that safely and securely. Also, always have a tank. This one's a little beat up, and I promise you it still does hold liquid and gas and whatnot. Don't keep the gas inside the tank, but please always do have a jerry can at your disposal, just in case if you ever have to walk long distances. Maybe you forgot to check your gas when you started your journey, and now you found yourself on the side of an interstate or side of an empty highway, or whatever the case may be. Just be smart with it, guys. Be smart with it, and make sure that you always have means of being able to fill up your tank. Even if it's not all the way, it's still at least some amount to get you closer to the gas station, right? So anyways, guys, that's pretty much it for the toolbox. So let's head back inside and talk about some of the things that we've seen here.
So there we have it, guys. We have taken a look into how possibly we could create a more of an efficient means of transportation as far as our own personal vehicles are involved, and making your personal vehicle into an apparatus. So let me just first off say that there are many different means of doing this, not just by my truck standards. You can do this by car, you can do this by SUV, by Humvee. There are so many different ways you could do this in so many other different vehicles. So I want to be very clear with you on that, though, because honestly, I've done this loadout, I've done this kit in other vehicles before, just to see if it's possible, should I ever have to change to keep similar features that I like inside my apparatus, and transfer them over to other vehicles. For instance, I've found it way easier as far as a vehicle, like a smaller vehicle as a car. I have found that a car is actually a lot more easier and a lot more efficient in these regards. What I mean is, there is, going from your vehicle, inside the cockpit, your car or whatnot. Now, inside the car, it's a little bit more difficult, especially with all the room that they don't give you, to put and secure safely a firearm up there with you. However, I haven't really spent a whole lot of time on mounting it and figuring out where I would like to keep her. But as far as the back is concerned, the trunk itself, guys, I think that is probably one of the greatest means of being able to act in a more QRF manner, is being able to utilize that trunk space. Yes, of course, you could always have that trunk space used for a lot of other stuff, but the trunks are pretty big. So half of that trunk space could be what I call that is kind of the QRF loadout. Or you can call it you can call it whatever it is you want, but I usually call it the QRF loadout in case if I have to get from one place to another in a quickly manner that involves protecting myself and others. But as far as the trunk space is concerned, half of that can be used for the QRF loadout, and then the other half could be used for more of the domestic groceries, just errands, all that good stuff. And a lot of that stuff sits pretty flat. I mean, I was able to to utilize my seats and put them under there. You could still probably put something on over all of that stuff, making sure that they are secured and whatnot. But at the end of the day, guys, this is all for the sake of protecting yourself and others. This is not means of making it easier for for bad guys to get a hold of your stuff. So be mindful of that. And some of the tips and tricks that I've helped you along the way, I really hope do help you. But we have taken a look at other means of life-saving devices, such as hands-free units, USB ports, Bluetooth USB ports, stuff like that. We've taken a look at a few other things that some vehicles nowadays may come standard, it may not, but regardless of how you do it, guys, it's a matter of doing it safely and responsibly. So with all that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked the video. Hope it wasn't too long for you guys, but absolutely turning that that awesome piece of machinery that you use for personal transportation, and also making it a means of helping others and protecting others, and potentially saving a life one day. And I think that is all worth it in the name of safety. And guys, that's pretty much all I got for you. Take care. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys later.